Let's talk about executive dysfunction. If you are experiencing executive dysfunction as a result of a diagnosis or disorder, you should go see a speech-language pathologist. I don't think a lot of people know that that is within the scope of our practice, but it is. For example, inhibition control. If you are someone who finds that they interrupt conversations or that they are unable to stop themselves from doing a certain action, that is a type of executive dysfunction. You might act before thinking of consequences. We see this a lot with people with ADHD, and there is a way to work on it. Go see a speech path. Working memory. So if you have difficulty holding and manipulating information just presented to you, for example, if somebody were to give you a phone number and you're having difficulty remembering that sequence of numbers every single time, you might have working memory dysfunction. Another type of executive functioning is cognitive flexibility. So your ability to transition from task to task or consider others' perspectives, that can be disordered, that could be dysfunctional in people who have different types of diagnoses, autism, ADHD, OCD. Being stuck in a particular way of thinking and problem solving difficulties, that's part of this cognitive flexibility, and it can be targeted, sometimes with just treatment alone, and sometimes we'll have to add other psychiatrists or other professions in there to help you medically as well. Do you struggle with prioritizing tasks? Do you miss deadlines? This could be an example of planning and organization dysfunction. This is an executive function that we can help you with, usually using compensatory strategies, but perhaps we can start restorative therapy as well. Another example of executive dysfunction is not being able to self-monitor. Let's say you're making the same mistake in a sequence over and over again. It's that ability to kind of remember what you did in the past, know what to do differently, and monitor yourself. Something we see very commonly in people with ADHD is difficulty with task initiation. So not being able to just start something. A lot of people would say, you're a procrastinator, you're lazy, but you are struggling with an executive dysfunction and you deserve help. And the last one I'm going to talk to you about today is emotional regulation. A lot of people don't know that this is an executive function, and a lot of people are in traditional talk therapy, which I would recommend to almost everyone, but you should perhaps consider going to a speech therapist, because what they can do is provide you with real life coping strategies. They can tell you exactly what's happening in the brain so that you can understand and think about your emotions in a different way. All of these executive functions, including emotional regulation, are tied heavily into communication. Being able to advocate for yourself, being able to communicate how you're feeling, being able to ask for help. Language, cognition, and executive functioning are very much within the scope of practice for speech-language pathologists. So if you are experiencing any of these things, please reach out to me. I will help you find a neurodiversity affirming speech therapist in your area. You can contact me on my website, support-the-spectrum.com. And if you'd like to learn more about neurodiversity affirming practices and the science behind them, you can follow me at Support the Spectrum on YouTube, TikTok, Facebook, Instagram, and Lemonade.